By mid-afternoon, Stanley was finished with his lunch and had spoken with his lawyer and the judge's family lawyer to see what arrangements were made for the children's care. Stanley discovered that Judge Marshall and Ellen's wills were similar. Stanley and his wife were to be the shared guardians of the boys. Without ever knowing or meeting Emily, they assumed that she would love their boys the same way that Stanley loved the boy. Stanley was ill from anger. Emily was killing everyone he loved. She probably won't even give my boys a chance to live. Why would they just give joint guardianship? They never met her. Stanley's hand was near his mother's, and he felt her hand grab his hand. Her eyes were still closed. She started to speak. Stanley did not know what to make of what was happening. He began to think that his mother had pulled out of the worst of the coma. Instead, Emily communicated through Barbara. I will take care of your boys. I haven't decided whether I'll take care of them before or after I take care of you. Help! Help! Help me! Stanley pressed the call button and 2 nurses came in. My mom grabbed my hand and she spoke to me. The nurses saw that his hand was being held by his mother. They did their best to explain how that happened. As the nursing staff prepared to depart the room, they admitted to him and to each other that they did not have an answer for the occurrence. Before you two leave, I'd like your help to see the twins. In accordance with the last will and testimony of both Ellen and Marshall, I have guardianship. Well, if you're ready, I can take you there now. They both are on the 9th floor where the kids are primarily located. Since they've arrived, we have not been able to pry their hands apart. It's like they're protecting one another. Show me to them. Do you have a service elevator? I'm a bit anxious from my injuries, my mother's injuries, and learning that my good friend has died so suddenly after the recent and gruesome passing of his wife. Of course, no problem. We have a service elevator. Do you need or want some medicine for anxiety? No, no thanks. I need to stay alert. They moved in the direction of the service elevator to level 9. Stanley was happy to limit Emily's ability to threaten or contact him. He was a bit gun-shy after the little boy told him that he would find his mom in a coma. The boy in the elevator said a few things. The phrase that worried Stanley most was hurry, hurry to save her. The child was a yellow eye and was used in a similar way by Emily as she had communicated through Barbara to Stanley earlier. Emily had the ability to choose a host and to channel herself through any vessel as long as she could directly pinpoint their location. Yellow eyes can prove to be either powerful allies or foes to a witch. Yellow eyes' instincts are far sharper, even at a young age compared to their contemporaries. They learn quickly not to share their abilities lest they become victims of an experienced witch who wishes to exploit their abilities. Even worse, they can become victims of a witch's wrath if that witch feels threatened. Less life-threatening than a witch's advances, yellow eyes are also at risk of being bullied in their formative years in school. The worst thing a young yellow eye can experience is when his or her parents are perplexed and either chooses to abandon them or send them away to mental treatment facilities. Parents of yellow eyes often struggle to communicate with them. These parents frequently question the danger these children pose to themselves or other members of the family. These types of unsafe and unstable environments are detrimental to yellow eye kids. Many yellow eyes who are not properly nurtured or who are not internally and naturally strong, they lose their ability at the start of their teenage years. The nurse and Stanley reached the 9th floor and exited the elevator. Once the door opened, the nurse wheeled Stanley toward the nurse's station. In which room are the twins located? The nursing desk staff were protective of the twins and unaware that the boys were authorized visitors. They asked the nurse a few questions. Are the twins allowed to have visitors? Does this man have the proper permission to see them? Yes and yes. Which room, please? Stanley's nurse provided the background and clarification required. The nurses were relieved to know the 2 boys did have a loved one who could look after them. Just ahead on the left, room 913. The nurse pushed Stanley into the room and found that both the boys were okay. They were watching TV in two separate medical beds that were rolled together into a single double-sized bed. The older twin would not release his younger twin's hand, not even just for 1 minute. Chase and Chance smiled when they saw Stanley. Still a bit shaky, Stanley stood and walked over to the boys to hug them. He was the first familiar face and familiar feeling or touch either boys had since the fire. Chase spoke first. Have you seen Dolores? I miss her. I would love to have her make us lunch and dinner. Yeah, me too. I will have to see what I can do about that. So how are you guys? Do you remember what happened or why you're here? Chase responded, I know. I can tell you, but my brother must not hear it. He can hear it too. No, he can't. Chance looked over to Stanley and spoke. Chase told me that he had to speak to you privately. I understand. I know Chase will always protect me. Okay, I'm all ears. Nurse, can you leave us briefly? Better yet, can you play with Chance and keep him company while Chase and I talk privately in the hall? Sure. Come with me, Chase. Chase slowly let go of Chance's hand, hopped off the bed, and sat on Stanley's lap. They rolled out into the hallway. Without wasting too much time, Chase began to speak. Your wife is a powerful black heart witch. I am a yellow eye, and I can see her for what she is. She intends to kill you and make you suffer for the pain you've caused her. She also intended to kill my brother, but she won't. I won't allow it. The fire was no accident. The gas fireplace exploded, sending stone debris in Papa Marshall's direction. The debris hit him on the side of the head and he fell. He succumbed to the smoke and died before being consumed. You almost died, but she allowed you to live to see your children drowning. My children? How could you possibly know? I've always known. I'm different. Almost 5 years ago, my abilities began to grow by leaps and bounds. I can see a witch for what they are. I have the power, albeit limited, to mask my abilities from a witch. When I'm fully developed, I feel that I'll either be a witch's greatest ally or foe. I want to save you, but I can't be sure that I can. She grows more powerful every day. Her powers will peak soon, perhaps the 31st of October. I can feel it. Because she is not a natural-born Blackheart, or at least I don't believe she is, her powers will continue to grow over time. Halloween is one of her apex on her road to ultimate power. As the smoke filled the house, I knew we needed to escape. I also knew that you three were on your way. Stanley had a confused look on his face and repeated what Chase said as a question. You three? Yes, you, your wife, and your son, the archaeologist. How can it be? A Blackheart always has a cat, a protector. It is usually someone with whom they've loved and lost. They never choose to return, and a witch can't determine who it will be. So my son is alive? In another form, yes. As the fire and smoke spread, I knew she wanted you to suffer more, so I made it appear we drowned, and I knew you would come save us. Chase tenderly extended his left hand toward Stanley's shoulder and spoke to Stanley. I fear for your life. You must stop her or you'll die. She is most vulnerable when love is involved or when you are not directly in her line of sight. Attacking her from behind is your best option, although even that is not possible or easy if her companion is near. He will protect her to the end and can take many forms. Stanley shook his head in agreement. He learned firsthand the fierceness of the protector and the vulnerability of a witch from the rear. Slightly overwhelmed, Stanley was speechless to start. He returned to the room with Chase and allowed the nurse to leave. Chase, the oldest twin, grabbed Chance's hand. Chance did not know exactly why, but he felt safe when Chase was near. Hours later, the eldest twin spoke to Stanley and made a request. We want Dolores. Chance echoed the sentiment. Yes, we want Dolores. Let me see what I can do. I'm sure she's worried about you too. Stanley, still without his mobile phone, was having trouble remembering any phone number. Chase spoke up and provided the number without being asked for it. The number is 207-631-0284. Stanley smiled and thanked them. Using the hospital's room phone, he called Dolores. Hello, Dolores. How are you? Stanley? It's you? I think something awful has happened to the boys and Judge Marshall. I went to work and the house was largely destroyed. They won't let me in the house. No one gives me any answers. Dolores began to cry. My dear boys. Please calm down, Dolores. I was just able to get your number from Judge Marshall's eldest son. You taught him well. He remembered your number and wants to see you and eat lunch, dinner, or anything you prepare. He remembered! Wait, what about the youngest one? Is Chance okay? Yes, they're here at the hospital together. Though it initially appeared that they would not survive, they are okay. Come see them. They miss you. We are in room 913. Tell the twins I'll have a special surprise for them. Guys, Dolores is on her way. She says that she has a surprise for you. Chance and Chase cheered. Yay, Dolores, yay, surprise. We will see you soon, Dolores. Bye-bye. Bye, Mr. Stanley. About an hour and a half later, Dolores was knocking at the door with her picnic basket. Chase and Chance were so excited. They loved picnics with Dolores. She always had dessert PB&J with no edges for them, healthy juice with no sugar added, and a healthy sandwich with their favorite honey mustard and mayo dressings. She also had carrots. The boys ate as if they had nothing to eat in over 48 hours, let alone the night before. This is partially true. Dolores prepared dinner before she left to go home on October the 27th. Judge Marshall only had to plate it and serve it. The fire suddenly started and all plans changed from supper mode to survival mode. It made Dolores happy to see the boys. They were ecstatic to see her as well. Dolores was very easily like their second mother, all full from a late lunch and the excitement from the previous night, and today the boys closed their eyes and napped with their hands clenched. I don't understand it, but it's so cute the way they hold hands. I wonder what they'll be like when it's time to date. Dolores laughed out loud and Stanley agreed and joked about the situation too. It may become really awkward, dating I mean. Stanley looked over at Dolores. Dolores, thank you for coming over. It meant a lot to the boys and to me. So where's Judge Marshall? Is he here or already back to work? I'm sorry to tell you that he didn't make it. He was overcome by smoke. We lost him. The boys lost their mom and now Judge Marshall too? Yes, but they have you and they have me. They're too young to know such loss. Most children are blessed to have at least one parent, someone who will see them grow up and live long enough to see their children. The twins won't. I need you to be there for them. I must go home. I will return with dinner. I'll bring something special. When can they be released? Where will they go? I think it's best they stay with you. I will speak to the lawyer and make sure everything is okay legally and financially. Dolores acknowledged that she would do everything in her power to take care of Chase and Chance, and then indicated that she needed to leave now in order to whip up a nice dinner before the boys woke up. Okay, I'll see you soon.